Okay, hello everyone. I'm Özge Alkan. I am one of the members of Dialogue Institute, and I'm gonna introduce our speaker today. Our speaker today is Joanne Ortiz, who is a community engagement coordinator with Capital Metro, and she has lived in Austin for a majority of her life and have worked for many years in Medicaid, including for the state of Texas. Her love for this community has only grown over the years. She began with Capital Metro for a new experience where diversity, balance, and Austin are at the forefront of what is done. As a member of the Austin Catholic Diocese since the moving to Austin, a former Central Texas Red Cross volunteer and Community Resilience Trust member, she is very interested in sharing information, being active in the community, and allowing a safe place for everyone. Please let us welcome to Joan Ortiz to talk to us about Project Connect and ways of engaging the community.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited to have this opportunity to talk to everyone. But of course, first, we definitely want to give a pause and recognize what is happening in our community this past few months, not just this past week, but the past few months with COVID-19, for those that are suffering homelessness, for those that have lost their jobs, and especially those who are fighting the social injustices. We definitely want to take that moment to breathe and to give light and know that we don't take it lightly, but as a community, we are here to move forward together. I'm so excited to be talking with everyone today because, as Agni mentioned, this community means so much to me. And Project Connect is just that. It's connecting our community in ways that we need to be connected. And if anything happened over these last few months that showed us more than ever how we can help each other, it was this disease, that also just impacted us so much. It's Cap Metro. We have worked together with various partners, and we've delivered over 320,000 meals, working with the Central Texas Food Bank, HEB, Farm Share, Avance, we've so many, and we've done so much to try to give back to this community. And Project Connect is another part of that. Today, I actually am not alone, thankfully. With me to help answer questions are my colleagues, Jackie Nuremberg, who is also a community engagement manager, and then our principal planner, Jacob Calhoun, principal planner for Project Connect, to help with the questions that y'all have. So I hope throughout the presentation, you'll be able to reflect and think about things that you can ask us. We are here to share information. We've been trying to be a part of this community as individuals. Now we are part of this community as a whole. Each and every one of you are just as strong separately as we are together. So this is exciting. So let's get started. I'm going to share my screen and do a little slide presentation. Give me just one moment. So I wanted to start by discussing a little bit of our community engagement, our original timeline. Oh, excuse me. There we go. Together. So this is exciting. So let's get started. I'm going to share my screen and do a little slide presentation. I apologize. I'm not sure where it's the double voice, but we had began with the vision plan being adopted in December of 2018. In April, the Austin Strategic Mobility Plan was also adopted. And then from August of 2019 through this past March, several sessions were held with the City Council in a partnership covering funding, a program, and governance. And then COVID hit, and a lot of things had to change up. We needed to do things a little different because we still needed to get input and we still needed to reach out. So we started holding virtual community meetings. This June, it's already June, next week will be our 7th joint session with the City Council to adopt the system plan. In August, we hope to establish the local government corporation and have a potential transit referendum. In November, hopefully we'll have a potential transit referendum, and then it's go time. It's moving forward. A little bit about what we've done to, oh, my computer's thinking, a little bit of what we've done to get the word out has been to visit, my apologies, has been to visit, reach out, and listen to the community. This number for our local outreach is a little outdated. As of June 1st, we're closer to 56,000 community members that have been engaged through our various outreach programs. We've done street outreach, from going to the Austin Trail of Lights and the holiday stroll to farmers markets. We've even been in living rooms as small as 4 people. We've been in larger events, wherever we could help get the word out, to try to get feedback, to answer questions, and just share the information. We've had live open houses throughout the year. We've engaged almost 600 people. We've had virtual open houses, which actually this number is also a little behind, but it's over 5,000 have been engaged. And our virtual community meetings over the last 2 weeks have surpassed 11,000, and the number's still growing. We've held stakeholder groups for a technical advisory committee, as well as our project ambassador network, which we call lovingly PCAN. And those ambassadors learn more about the system, learn more about what we're doing, and they share it with their own businesses, offices, communities. There's also the Corridors Program Coordination, where technical groups review. And then, as I mentioned in the timeline, our City Council and Cap Metro joint meetings, and we'll have more meetings in July and in August. So let's talk a little bit about the system plan. Most people know about light rail. A piece of that, 3 pieces of that is the orange line, blue line, and gold line. They are dedicated transit ways that actually will move people north and south, around South Congress, and the airport to downtown. It also includes the downtown transit tunnel that would help join all the lines. It'll provide an opportunity for more businesses, for metro arts and music, and really have a chance to build more of the smaller businesses, as well as just providing a safe place for people to wait and transfer, et cetera. Metro Rapid, we would include 7 new routes with an estimated 74 miles added, or total, 193 stations. For Metro Rail, we would have more improvements on the station and operations for the Red Line that is currently running, and then add a new commuter rail service to connect downtown to Colony Park and the Northeast area, with a possible extension to Manor and Elgin. Our Metro Express would have 8 new routes. 5 are outside of our current service area, which is key, and 24 new parking rides, 10 outside of the service area as well. And that would help so many more people actually come into the city, as well as go out, those that have offices outside. Our Metro bus service would be improved and have more better stop amenities, and some have already began. You may notice them with the updated stops with the covers, just trying to improve the areas, as well as Metro Access having an enhanced demand response system service. Some of the other wonderful things that will come from Project Connect: zero emissions, to go to an all-electric fleet, which would allow us to have a better environment and really contribute to the health and welfare of our community. Improved customer technology, new circulator zones. We had piloted this throughout the year and now have added more zones, and will continue to add zones. Our maintenance facilities will have bigger and better improvements as well. Some of the benefits: first and foremost, easing traffic in our city and region. If anything, we've seen how nice it is to have flow in the city. Through the stay-at-home orders, we've been able to actually get to places. But once everything is lifted, and as we start to move forward, traffic's gonna triple, quadruple over the next few years. And with this plan in place, we'll be able to ease that traffic. We have more transit options for everyone, an improved quality of life, cleaner air, as I mentioned, with zero emissions, increased frequency and reliability. Everybody can use that. Stronger transportation options. We'll be able to create more access to jobs, healthcare, and education, which is also very important right now. And an investment today that's going to last through generations. If there's one question or one comment that we get at every event, is simply, well, we thought y'all were going to do that a long time ago. And for whatever reason, things didn't pass, things got changed, things got moved, the city changed. There was always something that happened that didn't allow us to move forward. If we do this now, it'll save so much down the road. Speaking of down the road and the current issues, we need to reinvest in our local economy. Approximately 21,800 jobs would be supported for each $1 billion that are spent. Capital investments create a robust mix of local job opportunities. There'll be so many more options, so many more places for businesses to grow, and more places for people to go. It's not just essential travel, but it's travel for everyone to make it easier to connect, to find jobs, work will be created. There'll be significant program opportunities for the disadvantaged business enterprises as well, and just really helps revitalize our current state. Our active transportation investments, and I wanted to share this as well because we are such a green city and we want to stay safe. The city of Austin has invested $137 million in sidewalks, safe routes, urban trails, bikeways, and Vision Zero. So to build upon that corridor program, Project Connect has an opportunity to build 90 miles of sidewalk connectivity. And we've all been there where you're going to a bus stop and there's no sidewalk and it's raining. This would help on top of the corridor program to add more sidewalks, to provide an infrastructure that's better for everyone. And in addition to Project Connect, we'd have the opportunity to add 72 miles of bike lanes. All of this would total almost $200 million in active transportation mobility investments, something that we all need. So where do we go from here? How do we move forward? And especially in this time right now, it may seem like a difficult question, but it's very important that we do because our community needs it. A joint transit partnership, which is actually the wording you can't say, I apologize, would provide a partnership framework where the funding from the city as well as Cap Metro and federal funds would be dispersed through the local government corporation where governance, finance, and planning implementation would occur. The main thing about having this new independent board with its guiding principles, as you can see here, is transparency, transparency, transparency. People want to know what's happening, and this would give us that opportunity. The single entity will be vested with authority and resources to construct and implement Project Connect in the long term. We won't have to have a bit of one thing done and then come back, a bit of another thing done and come back. The board will be able to move freely and forward with the city council and Cap Metro as oversight. And speaking of investments, federal funding has been secured by Cap Metro for up to half of the costs. Cap Metro is also contributing through the Capital Expansion Fund, Project Connect Planning and Development, and ongoing operations and maintenance funding, and the City of Austin with the property tax rate election, which would cover capital and operations and maintenance. So I wanted to give you just a couple more decision points that are coming up. I mentioned earlier that next week on June 10th, we will have another joint session, system plan adoption with the City of Austin. In July, both Cap Metro and the City of Austin will be reviewing their annual budgets. In August, there's a potential action to form the new Transit Partnership Board. City Council approves a transit referendum and a budget in August, and Cap Metro will approve capital and O&M operations and maintenance funding in September. And then in November, we would have the potential transit referendum. Now, as everything changes day to day, item by item, there's always something new happening in the city. It's really difficult to say that everything is for sure because we know it's not, but we have to move forward. Our community needs structure, infrastructure, and a framework that will work for everyone in this community, not just one segment. And I've heard through different comments and questions that it's all about downtown. It's a part of downtown, yes. That's our artery. That's where the flow is. But once that is eased, then the rest of the community can move more freely as well. And as you saw through all the other additions and changes and structural additions that we'd like to do and want to do and need to do for our city, it's not just downtown, it's across the city. And I'm so happy that we were able to share some of this information with you. As I mentioned, I do have Jackie Nierenberg and Jacob Calhoun here to help answer questions. So if we have any questions, I'd love to get started on those.
We do have a question. Okay, the question is, what are the main arguments of the people who are against this program?
That's a great question.
I was going to say, I'd like to field that to Jackie. I know you've had to answer that one a couple of times.
Yeah, surprisingly, well, not surprisingly, but, we really haven't heard too many arguments against this, because unlike the last time we went to the community with the transit referendum, which was for the Urban Rail Project, it was also called Project Connect, and this is part of the same idea. But what we learned is that people didn't understand that that was part of a larger system of projects. And so this time around, we were careful to really communicate that we have a number of projects throughout the city that are going to help create this connected environment, this connected system. So there's really something in it for everybody. So we've been very pleased to not hear too much pushback now. And one of the things we were wondering is, are people going to push back on the cost? And we haven't heard much of that either, surprisingly enough. I think people realize that you have to make a big investment in a project to make it future-proof, so that it serves us for generations to come. We don't want to just do a Band-Aid, right? And so all of the arguments that could have popped up really haven't in a big way, but cost would have been one that we would have expected. And our answer to that is we're investing in our generation now, but also in future generations.
Thank you for answering the question. And
Sure.
We have another question. And the question is, how will COVID-19 affect Project Connect? Are you worried about it setting the project back because of the reduced demand for public transit? What the effect of COVID-19 on the referendum?
Well, honestly, I think while it seems to have slowed it down, it's essential. It's still essential that we are out here. And that's why we're moving forward with Project Connect the best way that we can. One of the great things that also occurred is we were able to better secure our staff, our operators. We added shields to the driver's side. We have provided the masks. We've done various things. We've done intense cleaning, over 6,000 hours of intense cleaning on our vehicles. And what's happened is truly inspirational to know that people in the community know that if they need us, we're there. And I think ridership will continue to increase, and we want to be prepared for that. And so when they do, they're going to know that they're safe. We are doing our best to continue to move forward and keep everyone safe as they return. But the traffic's not going to ease up. It's just going to get worse and worse. And regardless of what is happening with COVID, we know we're needed, and we want to make sure that we're available.
Yeah, and I'll just add to that while we're in this situation now, which we don't know, will it last a year, 2 years? This project is something that's going to serve us 20 years down the road and 30 years down the road and 40.
Yes.
So we're looking at the long game. In addition, I'd also like to add that, even during the most locked down time in our community, we were still carrying about 36,000 passengers a day, which tells us that it really is an essential service. What we provide is a community service that, absolutely has to be there. It is a lifeline for people. So, yeah, COVID is definitely changing everything. There's no question about it. The calculus is different, but transit remains essential.
Yes.
Do you have any poll results on how much support there's for this project?
Well, as a government entity, we really don't do polling, but there are groups out there who are advocates of transit and have been doing polling. What I can tell you is our online virtual open house that asks questions about the project, the recommended plan that we're offering, has been overwhelmingly positive. We ask people how they feel about the light rail corridors that we've identified and where they're going. And we've asked them how they feel about the downtown tunnel and all of the pieces, and then the plan as a whole and whether they agree with what we're proposing. And it's been an overwhelmingly positive response.
Okay, so another question is, what will be financial impact per household in terms of cost or property tax?
We don't have the answer to that just yet. And, what makes this, there's a lot of moving parts to this. And one of those moving parts is the fact that we have to work with the city of Austin on the community funding aspect of this. And that's outside of Capital Metro's purview. They are working on a plan to determine how the referendum will help raise those funds from the community. We don't know at this point exactly what that impact will be per household, if it is a tax rate election, and we assume it will be a tax rate election. So I think by August, we should have a better idea of that. The ninth work session in August between the council and our board will be exploring that in greater detail. And we should be able to tell people, the city will be able to communicate to people what they can expect as an impact to their each household's pocketbook.
And another question is, who are the constructors, construction firm? Are the international firms also welcomed for the project?
Oh, that's a great question. I'll let Jacob answer that.
We both went Jacob.
So we haven't started any construction yet, but we do have a couple different engineering firms that are working for us on developing some of the preliminary aspects of the program. HNTB and AECOM are the two main ones. We have some other sub-consultants that are working with them, including Nelson Nygaard and some surveyors and environmental consultants as well. As we continue to advance with the program and as more things are developed, there will be much more opportunities for construction firms to come in and be able to be part of the process. And we'll be putting those bids out later on as the project continues to advance.
Yeah, and I also want to add, we are putting together what we're calling an Industry Day event, a virtual event in August with the Chamber of Commerce, to answer questions specifically about what kinds of economic opportunities, not only for construction companies, but small businesses, a variety of businesses are going to be able to benefit from this project should it move forward. And so we'll have our procurement team available to answer questions, our operations team, all of the departments that would stand to procure services from local companies. The question regarding an international company, I don't know the answer to that. Jacob, do you
I would think
to
that
know
it really,
if we have policies about that?
I think that it really kind of depends on the qualifications of the firm. Obviously, firms like HNTB and AECOM do have international presences due to the scale that they are. But I think there's opportunities if, even if a firm just had a local presence, even as a branch office, there's still plenty of other firms that could bid for those type of things.
Thank you for answering the question. And other question is, one headwind for public transit in Austin seems to be low density housing. Is Capital Metro doing anything to encourage for higher density housing in Austin?
I can answer that one as well. We definitely would approve and support of any kind of more transit-oriented developments that do come into the city that help strengthen the system of transit. We are coordinating with the city on how we could possibly do more transit-oriented development in various areas around the different corridors, and we'll be continuing to work with them to kind of help make sure that both the land aspect and the transportation aspect are complementary of each other.
And can you guys tell us more about the downtown tunnel?
So the downtown tunnel is essentially an area underneath the streets that are in downtown. We're looking at connecting the orange line, blue line, and gold line underground there. And so the areas we're looking at is essentially somewhere near the Capitol West, a little bit south of the Capitol West station on the orange line, heading south on it till you get close to the river, and then kind of branching off from Republic Square along 4th Street over to Trinity, and then out near where the boathouse is off of Trinity.
Okay.
And the idea is to have a platform, 2 stations at least underground, and to also have a mezzanine under there with food and drink vendors, restaurants, shops, restrooms, ticket information centers, even space for like public entertainment or art or that kind of thing.
And air conditioning.
Yes, I was going to say,
Will be a tremendous relief for people waiting for transit service. So
yes, lots of
It'll be
AC to keep
like an
everyone cool in
airport.
August. Yeah, very much an airport type feel.
And once started the project, how long will it take to complete?
Well, we are going to shoot for various timelines depending on the project. Some of them, such as the Metro Rapid or the Metro Express, will be much quicker to implement because some of those are more of just buying the vehicles and putting in some stations. Other things like the light rail lines with the orange, blue, and gold will take more time. Right now, we're projecting those take somewhere in the range of probably 2028 at the earliest for opening. And that's just because of the scale of the project. We're talking about full road reconstruction here. We're talking about putting a whole bunch of systems to kind of help it operate and run smoothly, and putting in all the other street betterments such as the sidewalks and the bike lanes, and adjusting the way that everything's working in those corridors. Fortunately, we don't have to deal with the same road network as the MOPAC project. So we will have to deal with the tunnel aspect, but we've done some preliminary core testing, and it does look like we have a favorable soil composition downtown for tunneling.
How about the ticket prices? Do you guys have any good news for students?
Well, we don't have that answer yet. I do know that we are currently one of the cheap, maybe even the cheapest agency in the country.
Oh,
Yeah, and we're pretty proud of that and would like to maintain that as much as possible. So we're very cognizant of the fact that we want this to be accessible to all, and that includes the light rail service. So while I don't know what the cost of riding will be just yet, please know that we are committed to keeping the price as low as possible.
okay.
and possibly fare capping.
And fair, thank you.
Does ticket revenue pay for the cost of operations? If not, do you see a future where it hits break even?
No. And
Not
Jacob,
really.
you might be able to answer this better, but I think we get maybe like 8%.
I think it's maybe closer to 10 or 12, but it's still not enough to be sustainable for the whole system. And one of the reasons for that is we do charge a very competitive rate for our fares, and we provide a lot of service for that. And so we get a majority of our fare, or not a majority of our fares, a majority of our revenue through sales tax. And so whenever the economy is doing well, we have more money to be able to provide more services to people, more opportunities. So there's very break even, certainly not in the States, I would imagine, and probably very few internationally that are able to even approach that amount.
Yeah, and I'll add that, we're a government entity, a government agency. So, our goal is to serve our community. It's not to make money or even to break even, for that matter. We just are an essential utility, and we'll do it no matter what, and we'll figure out how to, have the funding and revenue streams that we need to make it happen. So,
what about the future plans for Red Line?
So right now we have, we're going to add 2 new stations to the system. So we'll be adding a station at the new Broadmoor development that is just across the street from the Domain. And so that one will pretty much replace our Kramer station, but we will be adding another station on the south of that near the soccer stadium as well. So people will be able to hop on the Red Line and be able to get to the game without having to worry about parking or anything like that.
That's cool. Okay. And another question is, Turkey is good at tramway system and like metro production. Had you any information about it before and checked Turkish firms for this?
I have not personally been able to go to Turkey. I know my boss has worked in Egypt before, so they're at least on the same side of the hemisphere. But I do have some actual former colleagues of mine in my university that are from Turkey, and so I can reach out to them if I need to ask anything about either Istanbul or I can't remember where the other one is, but I'll reach out to them if I need to.
I think those all questions we have. I just want to wait like 2 more minutes because the live is a little bit slow. So if you guys wait 2 more minutes, we can finish it.
I can actually say a couple of other things. Yeah, Jackie mentioned about being essential here in the city. Our public transportation system has really grown so much over the last 20 years. And I think sometimes it gets lost that we're there. So with Project Connect, it's to remember that in the title itself, it's about connecting the community. We are essential and we want to do what we can for this community, whether it be keeping fares low, getting people where they need to be at, but it's also about getting people where they want to be, letting them enjoy the city the way that we do. Growing up in a small rural town, I give a shout out to Durrington, Texas. We didn't have that public transportation. When I came to UT, that was the first time I got on a bus, and it was the operators that took care of me and, making sure that I was safe. And it was wonderful to know that we have a system here where the company that runs the system also cares where the community is going. During COVID, I mentioned the food delivery meals, but we're also helping provide Wi-Fi. We were trying to make sure that we had a mask. Community members came out and donated handmade masks. We had over 1,000 donated to our fleet because they care about us and we care about them. So when we take the opportunity to really think about the growth that our city is going through, Cap Metro and our transportation system needs to grow as well, but we don't want to leave anyone out. We know that we have a lot of bicyclists. We know we have a lot of walkers. We know we have a lot of people that love their cars. We just want to make the system in Austin more accessible to everyone and safer. And by a lot of these projects, we're able to do that.
Thank you.
Well
And
said, Joanne.
we have another question, and the question is, any contribution from high-tech firms like sponsorships?
Like public-private partnership kind of opportunities, I'm thinking is what that question is asking. And I know Jacob can probably answer this more in more detail, but there are opportunities when you build infrastructure, stations, for that kind of partnership. Jacob, I'll let you.
Yeah, there's definitely opportunities for us to integrate a lot of placemaking, especially whenever it comes to bigger firms and kind of established areas that people know. So I think that there's certainly lots of opportunities for us to try and work with firms as we, especially if they've got a site or a building that's close to a station, then there'll be opportunities for them to kind of give it their own feel and be able to kind of show how they're helping contribute to the overall system as a whole.
And we're already doing some of that. In fact, the Broadmoor station that's going to be opening up is a public-private partnership. Plaza Saltillo, which is our transit-oriented development on the east side, East 5th Street, just east of I-35, was also a public-private partnership in that we worked with the developer Endeavor to make that happen. And then Colony Park is another example of public-private partnership. So we're already dipping our toes into that, and I would expect there'd be a lot more to come with Project Connect.
And one more question. As Austin residentials, what could we do for a successful completion of the project and expectation from the public who saw the project really beneficial for the Austin community?
That is a great question. And there's a simple answer. Just talk to your friends, talk to your neighbors, talk to your family members. This is something that's going to really be a game changer for our community. It's going to impact every single one of us in a very positive way, but people need to know about it. They need to know what this is. And especially when people go to the ballot box in November, if this is going to be on a referendum, we want people to be educated before they make that decision. So spread the word that this is happening. We are all available to make presentations like this one virtually or hopefully down the line in person someday soon. As Joanne mentioned, we've done this in people's living rooms, even with just 4 or 5 people. We are available to talk and to provide materials. We're also going to be putting together a speakers bureau, and we'll be looking for community members who are willing to speak on our behalf and spread the word. We can't possibly reach everyone with our small team, so we need people to tell their networks about this.
Thank you for answering the question. And that was really, really informative presentation about Capital Metro. I really, really thank you for the presentation to you guys. Do you guys want to add something, or do you guys have any questions to ask to us, maybe?
Yeah, the only thing I would ask is, just like Jackie said, if any of your members or y'all would like us to come back, even just doing more information, see where we are, whatnot, please feel free to ask. Visit projectconnect.com for more materials. They can look at the maps and see what's being planned. And again, like Jack said, we are happy to come out as well, and we can do virtual or not, whatever works for you, we can make it happen. Like she said, we just want to spread the information and make sure that everybody's educated as much as possible. And especially with so many events being canceled this year and not being able to get to where the people are, the virtually gives us an opportunity to meet them anywhere and everywhere. So if any of your members would like us to be there, we're happy to.
Yeah, and thank you so much for this opportunity. It's wonderful to connect with new groups of people and to have meaningful dialogue like this. It's just wonderful engagement opportunity. So we appreciate it.
Thank you guys for giving us the information.